if you haven't figured out already, I'm Lila, and I am LuAnn Ritsema's sister. I met Janet through LuAnn. I was in college, and the two of them had gone off to New York to do God knows what in New York. When I met Janet, I found her to be quirky, irreverent, and utterly fascinating in her sharp wit and ways of seeing and interpreting the world around her. She made me laugh, and my parents nervous. Which also endeared her to me. It was years after those initial encounters that we met up again when Janet joined my sister and I at an Easter service here at the church where I was a pastor. And it sparked something of a reunion that opened up the way for us to keep in touch in the ways that we both needed as she was wrangling with those last bouts of cancer. Who really knows who or what will have meaning or impact on our lives? But all of that great mystery is what brings us together today in this sacred space where all kinds of quirky, irreverent, and utterly fascinating folks feel welcome and safe enough to share their stories and be celebrated for all the perfectly imperfect parts of who we are. In that spirit, we honor Janet, daughter, sibling, niece, friend, teacher, mother, grandmother. Today is a life in 3 acts. We give thanks for the wholeness of the life that she lived, the part that she played and still plays in our lives, and the parts we played in hers. The only rule today is to be authentic, to not hold back our joy or laughter or our sadness or our anger or grief. And so in the spirit of the part that I've got to play, let's take a moment to ground ourselves. I'm going to sing something of a prayerful invitation. I'm going to sing it through once, and then I will sing a verse, and then I'll invite you to sing a line, and then I'll sing a line, you sing a line, and we'll sing it all together. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. All together. Spirit draw near. One more time, all together. And gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
I'm going to pretend I'm reading to a group of 5-year-olds. I find this so delightful, just seeing all these little different elements of Janet's life. I haven't been in close touch with her since she left Fort Wayne. I mean, Facebook and a few letters and so forth, but I just love the people that are attracted to Janet, and it's like we're all here. It's not quite having Janet in the room, but it sure feels like it. So this is a book that I wrote for young children, and it was illustrated with photographs by a Michigan photographer. It's called Sweep Up the Sun, and it sort of works as a metaphor for the journey that Janet is embarking on as I see it. And I think in true preschool teacher style, I think I can probably, if I can't read it upside down, I will have it memorized. So, rise into the air on the strength of your wings. Sorry. Okay. And go out to play in the sky. Trusting it to hold you as you learn to fly. Spread your feathers, sweep up the sun, ride the wind and explore. Take off in a new direction, swoop and soar. You may find yourself shaking off raindrops or caught in a blizzard at night. I should have turned all these pages before. Okay. You'll pause for a quick conversation. Meet wingtip to wingtip in flight. Alone in the sky or flying with friends, your wings will carry you far. Stitching earth to sky with invisible thread. At home, wherever you are.
Beardstown. This beautiful story begins October 18, 1953, in the booming metropolis of Beardstown, Illinois. The third child of Willard and Carnell, aka Jolly, our dear friend Janet entered the world. Let's take a little time now to hear a word or two from folks who helped to shape Janet and who were shaped by Janet during these formative years.
Janet and Lynn was the older, but they were just 17 months apart. And we had a twin stroller, so people often asked me if they were twins. One of the big features for Janet when she was small were her large eyes. Grandpa Jolly called her our big-eyed baby. One day, when she was not very old, I couldn't find her. And I found her outside, sitting in a mud puddle, squeezing mud through her fingers. And I said, "What are you doing?" "I'm playing gishy-gushy." Janet would always befriend the friendless if they were on band trips or if there was somebody nobody wanted to room with or sit with on the bus. She would. She would. And once it was a little boy, and she said, "Well, I'd room with him, but I guess that won't work." So, that's all.
I'm Lynn, as mentioned in the video. I'm the older sister, but we were just 17 months apart, so I don't remember anything live that Janet wasn't included in. Can't remember that part out. And I was asked to speak to just a few stories in our life at home. And I think we probably had a pretty typical childhood in rural Illinois at the time in the 50s. You know, we were at home most of all with your playmates, were your brothers and sisters. But we would go to town, and we had 2 sets of grandparents, the Jollies and the Korsmeyers, and cousins, lots of cousins eventually. So that we did come things like church. We went to Lutheran church, we went to Sunday school and Bible school in the summer. And we had park programs in the summer run by Roy Roberts. So I see Sue and Rich was there. And we did, I was going to start with Janet's musical career because that was such a big part of her life. We started early with singing lessons with Joyce Tyson. We learned the basics of warming up our voices, singing to an audience, and how to curtsy. She was big on the curtsies. And we would have recitals, we had to sing, and occasionally big productions. One I remember was The Wizard of Oz, and Janet and I were part of the Munchkins, if you can believe that. And then the Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and we were dwarves. So somehow she never did see a way to a big part for either one of us. Anything small. Then we graduated into be old enough to the St. Matthew's Church Choir. So we sang there for quite a few years. Took piano lessons. Our grandparents, the Jollies, taught our family a piano. And then we all had to have piano lessons. And Janet was the only one that stuck through it. I can't testify to how many years Karen played because I was 6 years older than Karen. So may have missed some of her piano recitals, but Janet kept that and went through several teachers who kept passing her on to somebody that could play better and teach her more. So. And then the real band began when we were old enough for 4-H. Back in the day, you had to be 10 by June 1st. And my birthday was May 15th. So I barely squeaked in, and I became 2 years older than Janet in 4-H years, because she had to wait with an October birthday. So finally, I consented that I would show hogs, which was my dad was pushing me to show hogs, and I waited for Janet. So our first year, we found out all learning after school was out, they delivered 6 pigs. We each got 3, and one was for the carcass barrel contest. You had your 2 pair of barrels, and the one of the barrels you could sell at the auction. And the first year could have been entitled Janet and Lynn and the Hangry Pig. I picked the 3 bigger pigs, and everything was humming along, feeding these pigs and doing what we're supposed to. Until the county vet said that one of my hogs could definitely be the carcass barrel, could win the whole thing. But he was too big, had to go on a diet, so he wouldn't be too fat by August. Which meant some of the hogs got slopped and fed good stuff, and we had to put this pig in the shed with pellets, protein pellets, and he couldn't eat the same food the others did. And he wasn't happy. So we had to entice him into the garage with his little, or the shed with his little cup of food. Janet and I had to run, slop the other pigs, and then get back before he was ready to break out the door. And we still thought he might make it, and we learned we had to stand backwards like this with using our leg strength to keep that pig in the place. So he didn't show well, but he did indeed, after he was cut up and measured, win the carcass barrel contest. So I got my trophy. And the next year, Janet, she got to pick first with the hogs. Anyway, prize winner only got the market day prize. That's just the way it was. And also at the time, this was the all-girls ag club. Because the older brothers and stuff that were in River Valley Ag wouldn't let the girls come in. And we also had a home ec club. So we were in 2 4-H clubs. We balanced through all of this. Or my mom actually balanced it all. So all the things that you could do at 4-H, we did ×2. The ag club and different projects like the sewing and knitting and cooking and the home ec club. And then, Janet, by that time, we worked our way on through that, and then we got into junior high and high school and different jobs and different things. Janet spent quite a few years working at the pool and has a lot of friends and stories there. Also, I would say we joined the band for junior high years. So Janet started playing the clarinet and somewhere transitioned into playing the French horn. So that, and then chorus, which is all separate and stuff. So anyway, that was all I was asked to speak to those early years. And I got up to high school now. And I'll turn it over, and I guess it must, Val needs to be on video.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
have a video from Val. Val has prepared a song for us, but this is a sing-along, and I want you all to join us. This is a Janet original. This is one that she wrote. Can you pause it? So this is one she wrote in high school. The lyrics are on the back, and I want to teach it to you real fast. So repeat after me. There'll be no buns in the oven. There'll be no buns in the oven. Now that cookies in the can. Now that cookies in the can. There'll be no starch in my diet. There'll be no starch in my diet. Since I lost that loving man. Since I lost that loving man. He was working for every dollar. He was working for every dollar. But stealing every dime. But stealing every dime. There'll be no buns in the oven. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies due in time. My cookies due in time. All right, let's give it a try.
And been close with Janet since the old Beardstown High School days, and we were especially close in the last 6 years. I'm unable to be there in person, so Lydia asked me to play one of Janet's songs as a sing-along for all of us. The song is called There Will Be No Buns in the Oven, Now That Cookies in the Can. It's a fictitious story of a woman who marries a thief.
be no buns in the oven. Now that cookies in the can, there'll be no starch in my diet. Since I lost that loving man, he was working for every dollar, but stealing every dime. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies serve in time. Of an evening we would watch the TV. Now I'm wondering where it is that he'd be. If I had only curbed his appetite and led him on the road to ride, it'd be me, TV, and cookie here tonight. But there'll be no buns in the oven. Now that cookie's in the can, there'll be no starch in my diet. Since I lost that loving man, he was working for every dollar, but stealing every dime. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies serve in time. Wednesday nights we would all go bowling. Shoes and shirts and bowling balls all stolen. If I had kept him on the straight and narrow, taught him law like Clarence Darrow, we could have kept those bowling balls still rolling. But there'll be no buns in the oven. Now that cookie's in the can, there'll be no starch in my diet. Since I lost that loving man, he was working for every dollar, but still stealing every dime. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies serve in time. Often we'd go out for an evening meal, someplace cheap and clean where the food was real. If I had kept him on an even keel, steered him from that dirty deal, Big Mac would have been our biggest steal. There'll be no buns in the oven. Now that cookies in the can, there'll be no starch in my diet. Since I lost that loving man, he was working for every dollar, but still stealing every dime. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies serve in time. There'll be no buns in the oven. My cookies serve in time. Are you kidding?
All right. So somewhere around 1970, Janet packed her bags and headed into adulthood via Augustana College. Here she honed her many skills and talents, which I believe included music, teaching, and lighting things on fire. In addition to her degree, she formed incredible relationships that followed her beyond the shores of the Mississippi, and some of whom have braved the terrain of years and miles to be with us today.
Some people are born with one gift. Janet Korsmeyer arrived carrying an entire orchestra. She was a constellation of talent, with music and laughter echoing through the heavens. I met this beautiful, brilliant badass in August 1974. But little did I know that we would become soul sisters 47 years later when our cancer journeys crossed paths. In 2021, we profoundly reconnected. We felt kinship in zany humor and in our approach to fighting the enemy with grit, grace, gratitude, faith, positivity, and laughter, unbridled laughter. I knew Janet, the warrior, who showed up when the audience went home. I knew Janet, who understood that courage is not loud. Sometimes it's just waking up and deciding, I will love anyway today. I knew Janet, the counselor, who said, no matter what happens, Cassie, cancer cannot steal our souls, shatter our hope, or conquer our spirits, and we often spoke of that poem. I knew Janet, the hero, because even while carrying unimaginable burdens, she somehow found strength to lift someone else. The disease revealed Janet's generosity and her wisdom, her formidable capacity to persevere, her incredulous humor that refused to surrender. And most importantly, it never stole her identity. Janet's identity was joy. Cancer was simply the mountain she climbed, while still stopping to help someone else find the trail. People often call cancer a battle. Janet taught me that it could also be a sanctuary where two souls found each other, carried each other, and learned that courage multiplies when it's shared. Seeing Janet in the hospital on June 9th was a precious gift. I finished a prayer by saying, Father, I know when Janet's spirit soars freely from this world to the next, a choir of angels will be scrambling for front row seats because her radiant light could brighten the aurora borealis and will illuminate our hearts forever. And her giggles in that moment made my life. And then she blew me away once more. I found a song by David Haas, You Are Mine. As the lyrics scrolled on my phone, Janet sang with me in harmony. Her voice was clear and beautiful. I could barely eke mine out from the emotion. Leaving her was the hardest thing. I remember sitting in my car crying like a baby for 30 minutes before driving home, totally overcome by the intense sadness and yet simultaneously immense joy overwhelming from being with her once more. So I say thank you, Janet, for lending me your courage until I could find my own. Your harmony still resonates in my heart. I will carry your song with me for the rest of my days. And somewhere, beyond what we can yet see, we will sing together again, sweetheart. To all of you, when you think of Janet, please remember her lesson well taught through a battle bravely fought. Always let your song rise above your sorrow.
It's my honor to read this poem that has been sent to us from Nance. Yes. Janny. There are stories that everyone knows. The voice, beautiful and strong, making the world a better place, one note at a time. Teaching us with so much love that while lessons may have been forgiven or forgotten or lost, the love carried on. We talk about the hair, purple and blue, a joyful riot, rivaling the majestic swell of deep ocean or the sapphire glow of delphinium in bloom. But the best stories are ones we cannot share in mixed company. We do not talk about dancing on the picnic table, pants hung low to show the newest tattoo of the Virgin of Guadalupe.
Yeah.
We snicker privately at lighted farts and the time she painted the Marx Brothers on the bathroom tub. Who can keep from laughing in sacrilegious glee at the sight of her wearing a nun's habit or the Pope's hat, fabulous hair peeking out? She wore a Viking helmet to her class reunion, and on her, it looked like style. But she didn't always make us laugh. We do not talk about the times we called her on the phone and she listened to us cry or scream or just sit in silence, knowing she was there. Sometimes we did the same for her. And now she's gone ahead, bright colors on her shirt and defiance in her step, not missing, but walking into legend. Too large and bright to ever do something as ordinary as die. No, not her. So may there be dancing and singing and new picnic benches. May the tattoos be free and the pain non-existent. Whatever the next step on her journey may be, let there be a swirl of glorious color to welcome her, laughing and singing into mystery.
Hi, I'm Scott McMeen, part of the Fort Wayne crowd. I mostly knew Jan through First Presbyterian Church. When I first met Jan when my late wife Deborah and I joined First Presbyterian Church in Fort Wayne in 1986. We sang together in choir, we took our kids on youth outings, we enjoyed the local theater and music scene. After Jan left Fort Wayne, we lost touch. Since all of our contact happened 20 years ago, I confess I have forgotten many of the details, but I do remember two Jan experiences vividly, and they conveniently opened the relationship. One came near the start, and the other was the last time I can remember seeing it in person. In the late 90s, First Church used to do something called the Holiday Madrigal Dinners. Where'd Maestro go? He'll remember those, yes. These consisted of musical entertainment, both choral and instrumental, and even the occasional skit. Well, Jan and co-conspirators Mary Jo Meyer and Abby Powers were responsible for one of those skits. Jan was playing the role of a washed-up lounge singer, California Callie Callahan. The alliteration is how I remember the name. Mary Jo introduced the act, which included a plug for the dive bar where Callie was currently performing, and assuring the public that the Allen County Board of Health's investigation of Big Ed's beef and brews was just a silly mistake. Callie made her entrance to thunderous applause, expecting to sing a big solo, but then there emerged from the wings, after a surprise announcement from Mary Jo, her dear sister, Arizona Zoni Callahan, also a lounge singer. Callie is initially a bit surprised and a bit upset, but with a fine display of holiday spirit and sisterly affection, the two quickly confer and proceed to perform a screwball White Christmas duet. I won't attempt to describe the details, suffice to say they were hilarious. The last time I saw Jan was at the Rodever Auditorium, Village of Winona, near Porcelain, Indiana. The date was June 18, 2005. I recall the date because I saved the event program. This was a live taping of the National Public Radio program From the Top, which traveled the country to present performances from brilliant young musicians. Jan had come to hear one of her incredibly talented children, in this case, Lydia, display her virtuosity on the marimba. We sat together in the audience, enjoyed the show immensely, applauded wildly for Lydia and generally had a wonderful time. A great last memory to have of a great friend and a wonderful person.
I'm Beth Sanchez, and I have the honor of sharing just a wee bit about Janet's time when she was teaching in Fort Wayne. I'm not going to just talk about her teaching, but just sort of some memories of that time. Because she was so many things. She was beyond being a teacher. She was a mentor. She was a creator. She was an impassioned and vocal advocate for appropriate arts education. Let me tell you, Janet knew how to fight the good fight. She didn't always win, but damn, she was great in the ring. As a teacher at Weiser Park Elementary, she was part of this little triumvirate that included Janet and Laura McCoy and Diana Cole. And Janet taught theater, Laura taught music. You've seen her up here with her flute. And Diana, visual arts. They spent every day together, almost every waking moment together. They planned, they supported each other, and they were together so much that their students couldn't keep their last names straight. So Janet, Laura, and Diana created a moniker for themselves. They were all Mrs. McCollmeyer. The three of them built an unbreakable bond that lasted for the rest of Janet's life, and I dare say, will go beyond. So almost 30 years ago, I became part of this creative coven when I moved to Fort Wayne and started teaching theater and speech at Southside High School. There was an automatic connection that went beyond our shared art form. Our coven spent nights arguing politics in Janet's backyard and reading the vagina monologues for Valentine's Day in her living room. We shared nights under the moon around a fire at Diana's, naked nights in the hot tub at Laura's, and more than one drunken celebration at my house. Now, there are some former students here, so just pretend you didn't hear all that. We taught and we loved each other's children. We still do. We showed the world who's boss when we planted a rainbow flag in front of a conservative church. And we showed the world who's boss when a group of 50-year-old women hauled furniture out of Janet's house when she moved to New Mexico. We had a lot in common, the four of us. We were artists and advocates, we were teachers and mothers, and we were sisters. Sisters with sisters. And that meant a lot. So when I was asked to do this, Anna told me that Lydia thought maybe something witchy, which is perfect for me if you know me at all. Anna wanted something Shakespeare, which, if you know me, is also perfect as well. So I have two things. They're short. Pagan Eulogy by Clive. Yeah, Clive Culverhouse. Of flesh and blood that nature gives to our breath, must one day be given back. For life was lent by earth's hand, and now it is returned. Janet, though, lives through us always. She is the movement in the swaying tree, the light that dawns our day. She is the sparkle glistening on the sea, the energy of the wave. She is the melody of the singing bird, the notes that flutter down. She is the rustling leaves that can be heard in the greening of the ground. All that was that nature gave became our love, our life, our friend. All that was that nature gave through us need never end. Janet, we return nature's gift with the privilege such a gift was given. And now, from the master of theater, Mr. Shakespeare. Somehow appropriate, Sonnet 18 for Janet's birthday. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Oh, thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease have all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines. By chance, or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of the fair thou ownest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
And now a word from our sponsor. This celebration of life is made possible by the overly generous and completely, totally undesired support of Big C, cancer. Because let's be honest, if it wasn't for cancer, we probably wouldn't be here today celebrating our girl. But though Janet's life was bigger and richer and more chaotic and more interesting than the disease that overtook her, her cancer was part of her story. Her cancer was part of her. So I've been thinking about what Janet might have to say about her cancer. First, she would say she had a good life. No, she would say she had a great life. And cancer could not and did not change that in any way that was important to her. After she was diagnosed, she and I sort of settled into a weekly Zoom call routine. And over the years, I watched her work really hard, not to let her illness define her, to push away and against all its limitations. Janet made cancer her own, took it on her terms, with irreverence and honesty and courage and lots of humor, light and dark. All of it was made possible. Every bit of it was made possible by the love and support and tremendous sacrifices of her phenomenal children and their families. As much as cancer took from her, it also had some amazing side effects. As friends and family rallied to support her and connected with her, she got to recognize and experience in deep and powerful ways just how much she was loved. And in that, she said to me so often, she felt really lucky and really grateful. But I know she would want me to acknowledge how angry she was. I don't think Janet was afraid to die, but she sure as hell did not want to leave. She was angry about that, not so much at cancer, but at the outside forces and injustices and greed that she wholeheartedly believed were responsible for her getting sick. She raged against a medical community so broken it was impossible to navigate at times, and that seemed so indifferent and so uncaring about what she was experiencing. Her anger was hard to witness, and it was hard to experience. It made me sad for her, and I was angry too. I still am, to be honest with you. She felt so much good time had been stolen from her, and she could not. She would not let that go. And I think I loved her for that part of her that would not concede to injustice for a cheap piece. If we would truly honor her, maybe we should pick up her fight and maybe work for the vulnerable among us to make a better and safer world. Lydia told me Janet wanted me to sing today. Well, my singing days are done. I don't sing anymore, but I wanted to try for her, but I can't. But I did find this, and for Janet, this is Dirge Without Music by Edna St. Vincent Millay. I have not resigned to the shutting away of loving hearts in the hard ground. So it is, so it will be, for so it has been, time out of mind. Into the darkness they go, the wise and the lovely, crowned with lilies and with laurel, they go. But I am not resigned. Lovers and thinkers, into the earth with you. Be one with the dull, the indiscriminate dust. A fragment of what you felt, of what you knew, a formula, a phrase remains. But the best is lost. The answers quick and keen, the honest look, the laughter, the love, they're gone. They're gone to feed the roses. Elegant and curled is the blossom, fragrant is the blossom. I know, but I do not approve. More precious was the light in your eyes than all the roses in the world. Down, down, down into the darkness of the grave, gently they go, the beautiful, the tender, the kind. Quietly they go, the intelligent, the witty, the brave. I know, but I do not approve, and I am not resigned. I would just end with the way she and I ended almost every conversation we've had these last few years. Oh, I love you, babe. Fuck cancer.
Oh, we have another one of my mom's originals. This is one that she wrote in her Fort Wayne First Pres days. We did this choir retreat to North Carolina, where it was like a combination of the Northern Presbyterians and the Southern Presbyterians. And I didn't realize how different that was until I got there. And so we got there and they had like modernized all the music. So everybody's playing the Jesus is my boyfriend. Whoa. And this really inspired Mom to make her own variation. So this is a song that she wrote like in a day. It came down like as a whole complete idea, and is my favorite one of the songs that she wrote.
Life took a most significant turn in this story around 1987? 82? Oh, Lordy. I'm bad at math. When young Lucas burst on the scene and transitioned Janet from leading lady to supporting actress. The role of mom took center stage in many ways, as you can imagine, and soon Lucas was joined by Lydia and Anna to fill out this amazing cast of characters.
Jokes are my rent. Jokes are my rent. The twins wouldn't let me engrave that on Janet's headstone, but here's the story anyway. Half a lifetime ago, I was playing with an anagram machine. It rearranged the letters in my name, Lydia's name, Anna's name, some of their names, and it was nothing worth writing home about. On the other hand, jokes are my rent. Those letters spell Carnell Korsmeyer and leave nothing out. I wrote home. Jokes are my rent. The thing about my mom is that the fairest way to recount knowing and loving her is through a series of comedic bits. Even glancing at the photos will tell you that. If you assigned Janet to take a self-portrait for a photography class, she'd get an A because she knew her subject. And she'd get that A by sitting down, putting a cat in her lap, rolling a joint, and holding it right to the cat's lips while the poor thing stares bewildered into the aperture. Jokes are my rent. Janet was always prepared. When she dropped me off at college, clearly she had rehearsed. She had rehearsed. Because when I was halfway out of her passenger side door, she was on. Son, you won't always be the smartest person in the room. You won't always be the most talented person in the room. You won't always be the most good-looking. You've got a good shot at being the funniest person in the room. When I dropped your sister off at college, although it looks higher on the list, you use humor. Then she hugged me and drove off past the Hoosier horizon. Jokes are my rent. Arguably the proudest I ever made my mom, more than figuring out the anagram thing, more than getting Meşe to fancy college, was about at the age of 7. My grandma was visiting us and faithfully asked before a car trip, "Now Lucas, when was the last time you used the bathroom?" "July the 24th. In her eternal good nature, Grandma reported this back to Janet, who thrilled at what she had unmistakably passed on. Give Carnell a hard time and get forgiven for it? Jokes are my rent. Janet never missed a rent payment, and I can vouch for that. From back when I was just a security deposit all the way through this spring. Let me show you. The year is 1982, which makes me about 2 months old, and she sent this dispatch to LuAnn's.
Never occurs at the same time each day, but always comes after his bath and before his father gets home. The only evidence I have of his daily duty is a trash can full of soiled wetlands. Wetlands are an invention of modern sanitation designed to keep distance between you and your child's excretions. Not too effective, however. Later this afternoon, I will look down at my nails and wonder what I ate with mustard on it.
She ruined a lot of sandwiches. But it wasn't a bad world for me to come into. So, on her way out, I tried to reciprocate how she guided me. I held her hand, and after years of cajoling, finally made it through more than the first 4 words of Moonlight in Vermont in the voice of Bernie Sanders. I know she could hear me, because a look came over her face that said, "I am the mother I hoped to be." She was. The first and last lesson that she taught me was that this world is worth loving. We can show love by engaging. We can engage by laughing. We are all sitting on top of that inexhaustibly rich legacy of hers, and the rent is just about due.
My mom was my best friend. I would ask her advice on all sorts of things like, hey, what temperature and timing should I cook the Christmas sugar cookies? Who needed Google when I had my mom? Being a 4-H kid, she loved her crafts. We learned how to knit, we learned how to sew, batik, make mosaics, make pottery, all the things. She would sew our Halloween costumes. Now, as a mother, I can't imagine the time that she found to be able to make those herself. When I was a kid, I had a 5-gallon tub of Barbies and Barbie accessories. When I came home after visiting my dad, I had found out that she had ripped off the legs of my Barbies and stuck it in a cake to make the little dress of the cake. She loved decorating cakes like that. She was always there for us. My mom had this German Christmas windmill thing. It has candles on the bottom, you light it, and the heat rotates the blades of the windmill. Well, as a child, I got a little too close to it, and I caught my arm on fire. Mom put me out with her bare hands. I didn't have a scar or was hurt at all, just a little hole melted in my PJs. That was Mom. Somehow, her mom radar was always on. When we had bunk beds as a kid one night, Mom's spidey senses suddenly went off, and she came in to check on us. She caught Lydia in mid-air falling out of the top bunk. Sorry. We didn't actually talk about it. Sorry about that. Second time's the charm. She used to take us on the road for our vacations, and she was a driving expert. When we were camping, we found this long vine, and she tied it to the roof of the car and rigged it to a tree in the backyard for us to swing on. She also got a canoe and got a discount on that canoe because it was purple, eggplant purple. So of course, we called it Baba Canoe. We learned how to strap it to the roof of our station wagon, and every time we went somewhere, Mom would steal rocks. One time, we had our younger cousin Maeve in the car, or in the canoe, and Mom said, hey Maeve, should I steal that brick wall? Baby Maeve says, don't steal that brick wall. Mom says, why, you know a good lawyer? Yeah, my daddy. One time we were visiting Chicago and we rented these quad bikes on Navy Pier. Somebody was driving down Lakeshore Drive with a camcorder, that's how long ago that was, and they recorded the whole thing. Well, Mom took advantage of having an audience, and she yells at the person, hello, I've been kidnapped! My senior year, I went to have my interview for college, and I had a train in the middle of the night. Well, we didn't know it was running late, so we were just like rushing to get out of the house to get there. We get to the train station and Mom looks down at my feet and she goes, excuse me, are you wearing flip-flops to a college interview? Do you have other shoes? No, I did not. She insisted on trading shoes with me. You cannot go to a college interview in flip-flops. Needless to say, I passed that interview and I was admitted to that college. For her 40th birthday, she got her first tattoo of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man on her butt. She had cut out a little hole in her pants so that she could show it off to everybody. At the birthday party, she got on top of the bar and she mooned everybody to show off her new tattoo. Afterwards, she said, drinks on me! Recently, I was going through her closet and I found those pants with the hole in it. And it took me a hot second to remember why there was a hole cut in the pants. When we lived in LA at the same time, we would meet up frequently for lunch and dinner. We liked to do mommy-daughter outings, and I would take her to the Moth Story Slam, and we would both put our names in the hat, but she always got her name chosen. So, of course, I was the good stage daughter and would coach her and say, make sure you add your tagline at the end of the story. We also took a Balinese puppet class together every summer, taught by her best friend, Maria. We would carve puppets out of leather, write scripts, and learn the art of animating puppets.
So for Christmas traditions, my family has a whole bunch, just like everybody else. My grandmother would make these traditional flaming roasts where we turn off the lights and get our cameras out to document it. Anytime my siblings and I would go visit for the holidays, we would all gather around the piano and sing her favorite songs in 4-part harmony, and then go over to the neighbor's party across the street to sing together and serenade them. Mom loved creating things and bringing people together. At Mom's house, we'd always do different activities, like a puzzle, mosaic, batik, music, you name it. So one year we decided we're going to make batik holiday scarves. My friends were picking out their patterns while Lydia and I set up the wax and the dyes. I noticed that there was a weird smell coming from the hot plate. Upon investigation, I found there was a button between the hot plate and the pan. Whoops! So I calmly went to the party and I was like, oh, if you smell something, no big deal, everything's okay. It's just a little melted plastic. I turn around and I go back into the garage to check on the wax. It has since caught on fire. Just flames rushing everywhere. I go to the garage, trying to open all the doors, and they're locked. I'm like, oh my God, I have to walk through the house in front of all those people with this flaming pot. So I walk through and I'm like, remember when I said everything was okay? It's not. Lydia, with their good acolyte skills, opens the door, gets a plate, and extinguishes it. I have to say, that flame put my grandmother's roast to shame. I did not have to extinguish the sun to be able to see it. We moved back to Chicago in 2021. My mom immediately was able to connect with all of her old Midwestern friends as if no time had passed. We tried to treat every holiday like it would be our last. So we went all out for Halloween. Every year we would pick a movie and the whole family would dress up together. Frozen, Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, Royal Tenenbaums, the Blues Brothers. One year for Christmas, I got everybody these battery-powered light bulbs. We had recently shaved her head, excuse me. We had recently shaved her head and she got the idea to do an Uncle Fester photo shoot. She also did sessions as Mr. Clean and Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. When her hair grew back, it was the cutest little faux hawk. And always the art lover, she had us dye it like the Great Wave off Kanagawa.
It's coming on.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Suddenly I'm so parched. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. My mama was there for the birth of both my children. She loved being a grandmother. With both babies, she would do the bunny hop to burp them. Na 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 na. One day she had Mason in her hands, and she came up to him. She's like, "Oh no, Anna, Mason's bleeding." She gives me this red mush. I'm like, "Oh, what is this? Oh my God, what's happening?" I'm so worried about the baby. Turns out he was chewing on a red paper napkin. Round 2 was when we saw it coming from the other end. So that was Mason's first prank. Turns out he's one of us. When I got my job at the Art Institute, I was reminded of our road trips from Indiana as kids going to the special exhibitions. Once there was this Van Gogh Go Gan exhibit, and she said to us, "The church band going to the museum. I know we've already been, but we gonna go Gan." Whenever we hit the road, instead of saying what her parents would say, "Off like a herd of turtles," she would say, "We're off like a turtle hurdles." Later, I would do my own rendition when I do all-nighters, and I'd say, "God, I was up till dawn's crack." One of the phrases my great-grandma Jolly would say to her when she would go to bed was, "May the sun rise and set on your little head." That was one of the last things that I said to her, and her eyebrows raised up in recognition. From my mom, she was all about the Midwestern goodbyes. What does this mean? It means when your friends would visit, you say goodbye a million times. You say goodbye at the door. You say goodbye at the car. You say goodbye as they drive away. So here's to my mama. Let's give her a good old-fashioned Midwestern goodbye. Mother's love. My mom and I, we didn't always see eye to eye, but I never doubted how much she loved me. She was my biggest cheerleader. She'd give you the shoes off her feet. She'd put you out with her bare hands. And I will miss that. I will miss having that comfort blanket of always having somebody have my back and support me no matter what happens. When my mom was a little girl, her father had 3 daughters and 1 son. So, the son got his own room, and the girls had to share a room. He built a special bunk bed just for them, and my mom was on the top bunk. Well, when it was our turn, I too would be on the top bunk, just like my mother. And we were little, maybe 4 years old, and Mom got this premonition. In the middle of the night, I need to go check on the twins. And you might have heard this story already. With some of her Augie friends, and we were at this campground, and again, they had bunk beds. Well, I sleep on the bunk bed now. That's right, I'm the top bunk person. And so I went and I slept on the top bunk again. Mother had a premonition in the middle of the night. Maybe I should go to check on the twins. And sure enough, second time, caught me mid-air. Who will catch me now? Well, there was one time where she wasn't there. The third time, when I was in middle school, we went on a choir camp to Potawatomi. We had those bunk beds. There was a slick sleeping bag on top of a slick mattress. And I fell. And nobody was there to catch me. I landed on my chin and broke my jaw. I screamed out loud, and wakes up, what are you screaming about? She's about to throw a pillow at me until she realizes I was genuinely hurt. And yeah, the choir ladies, they did. These women who were so mean to me when I was growing up suddenly became my best friends. And they took me to the hospital and they nursed me back to health. And my mother was forever grateful for their service and for their kindness and for putting aside their differences to take care of one of her own. My mother had so many talents, as you've heard. You know, she was into dark humor. My brother inherited her love of books, my sister her love of theater, and I got her love of education. But we all got her love of music, and that was her touchstone at the end. When we were all in the hospital, we went through the songs, we sang all the beautiful songs, we sang the duets, and it was really lovely. And she wanted all the family to be there, and Oliver insisted on coming to the vigil. And when Anna said, okay, it's time to go, say your final goodbyes, Oliver stood up and he said, I love you, Bubby, you're the best Bubby. You were so sweet and so kind and so generous, and you bought me all the things. And sometimes you were mean, but I still love you. And I will miss you. Bye, Bubby. Where did he get that emotional intelligence? I don't know. And so we were getting to the end, and I turned to her and I said, okay, Mom, we're getting to the end of the songbook. And then the next song that we sang was I'll fall into a burning ring of fire. Went down, 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 the flames they went higher, and it burned, 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 and a ring of fire, and a ring of fire. I know, what a jerk, but hey, that was our humor. We were into that dark humor. And I imagine my mom giving a big belly laugh and saying, oh, Lydia, this is the last time I ask you to comfort me. And then the final song was, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Say, Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can go. I owe my soul to the company. And again, I imagine my mother saying, debt, screw that, screw the man, St. Peter, I'm ready. And with that, she went. And I am so grateful for all of those who were with us, and all of those who called and checked in, and sent the letters, and sent all the generous offerings and gifts. We couldn't have done this without our community and without all of our loved ones. And Lord knows it wouldn't have been half as much fun. We buried her in the jolly plot next to her grandparents. We talked a lot about some of the options, and she was going back and forth between the old cemetery and the city cemetery. Well, this old cemetery, it's abandoned, and it's got some of our first relatives who came off the boat, the river boat, and landed there. But, you know, I said, you don't want to be over there with those old cranky Germans. We'll put you over next to the Jollies. You love them, and they'll keep you good company. And so we went and we shared with our family and our relatives. And afterwards, we went and did a little offering. Those of you who might know me might know that I am really into Indonesian gamelan music. And in Bali, they have a tradition with their funerals. They do cremations, and afterwards, they take the ashes and they create an offering and they put it in the water so that the spirit can then be recycled and can be reincarnated into the next life. And so I took the little program from the burial and I made an offering of flowers and I lit my incense, and Beril and I said a few words. And we went to the Illinois River, down to the levee, and I dropped her into the water. And I sat there and I watched her. She started to drift down the river. And I did, I felt lighter. I felt like her spirit wasn't grounded. It was now everywhere. It was all around us. And it was her choice whether she stayed or go. And I think with everything that we've done, I know I can say I did right by her.
cut me out of the last part here. I think they were afraid. They've heard me preach. But I wanted to have somewhat of the last word, but I'm really going to give it over to Winnie the Pooh. If ever there is a tomorrow when we're not together, there's something you must always remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. But the most important thing is, even if we're apart, I'll always be with you. I'll always be with you. Anna.
So this is a lullaby our mom used to sing to us. See if we can get through it. I'll be loving you always, with a love that's true always. When the things you plan need a helping hand, I will understand always, always. Days may not be fair always. That's when I'll be there always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not
for just a year, but always. Here at Lakeview, we always end our gatherings together with the words, "Go in peace, remember the poor," which seems almost as good as "fuck cancer."